Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "I think at a child's birth, if a mother could ask a fairy godmother to endow it with the most useful gift, that should be curiosity." And I couldn't agree with her more. You could think of curiosity as the fuel for learning. And just like a car with good fuel in it will move much smoother, a curious child is going to learn more. And yes, it can be quite tiring, especially when they're toddlers and ask so many questions, why this and why that? But those questions are absolutely necessary for children to learn. Curiosity is actually an emotion, and it's an emotion that makes us feel rather good. It involves the heart as well as the mind and often the hands. And teachers know this very well. And this is why most teachers spend a tremendous amount of time and effort to craft learning engagements that will trigger curiosity. Yes, curiosity needs to be a little bit poked in order for it to grow. And when teachers design that magical ingredients that triggers curiosity, we have a technical term for it. We call it provocation. So let me give you some examples. Well, you can use your environment to create some kind of surprise. Something strange has happened. There's a problem. Imagine this. You walk into your classroom, same way as you do every morning, but on this particular morning, all the chairs are gone. That will trigger lots of questions. Where are they? Who took them? How are we going to learn? Probably a lot of solutions will be posed as well. Let's borrow some next door. Call the principal. We could work on the floor. And all of a sudden you have a whole group of kids engaged, curious, and learning. Something else that we do is asking really good questions. I like to call them juicy questions. Now, a juicy question has to be open-ended, and it cannot have a right or a wrong answer. So here's an example. What would happen if all the numbers in the world suddenly disappeared? In fact, I once asked this question to a kindergarten class, and I got the most amazing answers. Answers that no adult could think of. We had an enormously interesting conversation. Something else that teachers like to use is objects, an artifact. Something you can touch, feel, maybe even smell. And those objects often trigger interesting questions. What is it? What is it for? How does it function? But you don't have to have something extremely strange. In fact, an interesting looking rock can also pose a lot of questions. And those questions will engage children in research, in finding out more, and in that process, they pick up all kinds of new learning. And here's my challenge to you parents. Create a provocation. Maybe you have an interesting object. Maybe you want to create a challenge, change something in the environment, or come up with a juicy question. But make sure that you have fun with your children, that you're curious just as much as they are. You don't have all the answers, but you probably have a lot of questions alongside with your child. And have fun with it. Learn something new. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.